Okay, and we are live today with Pasi Scamacca. And as usual, I'm Stefan Hoffman with the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, interviewing yet another one of our awesome speakers. Pasi, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to do this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stefan. I'm just completely delighted to be here and participating in this amazing conference, and so appreciate all of you for creating it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. When we started this, we really were looking at the fact that we'd already done something similar live in South Africa. But when the pandemic hit, we were like, well, why do we, sort of take this line down and not just shine this light out into the world? And we've been so grateful that so many speakers like yourself have stepped up to the plate to do exactly that. So we really thank you for assisting us in that mission. But Passy, as I mentioned to you before this call started, we're here to hear as much about you as possible. So maybe you could tell us a bit about Patricia Scamacca and what got you onto this path, this journey of sharing universal love with the world around you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share. And I hope that whatever feels inspired to share will also inspire other people on their path of awakening and connecting with universal love and whatever your spiritual path is, right? Because we all have such a unique path, and it's so important to be able to honor our hearts and just follow that and
Right.
trust that we're being led in that way. So, yeah. So let's see. Well, I'm a psychic healer, reader, channeler, and I've been doing those types of service-oriented, healing path for,
Mm-hmm.
it's been over 30 years now. And gosh, it was really when I was a child that I started to have a lot of visions of things. I look up into the sky, laying in the clovers, in the yard of the apartment building that I lived in. And I remember looking up at the sky, and I just saw these huge hands. They were like a translucent shapes in the sky. And I thought, someday I'm going to be doing something very powerful with my hands. I didn't know if I was going to be a carpenter or, I'm just going to, drive a bus, but I knew it was going to have to do with my hands. And I also thought I was very strange because I did not fit in. I was in some ways more daring than other kids. I'm like, well, of course we
Mm-hmm.
can do this. I'd come up with different fun games for us to do as kids that were kind of off the wall, and seemed to have this kind of visionary, like see past the ordinary boxes of life kind of way of seeing things. And it wasn't until I was probably in my late teens, early 20s that I learned about spirituality. I didn't grow up in an area where that was available to me outside of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started to realize, oh, wait a minute, there's actually many different ways of perceiving the non-ordinary world, the invisible world.
Right.
And yeah, and so I started on this path of yoga and meditation and just discovering, well, what is that uniqueness that is in all of us that's really trying to get out and express itself?
Mm-hmm.
And I started to have interactions with spirit guides and to communicate with them. And you had asked me earlier about a defining moment. And I will say one of the defining moments for me was I was living in a small community in Hawaii. I had moved there when I was in my early 20s. And I walked into the kitchen where they were having a Rancho book meeting, which I had never heard of before then. And they were talking about these things called TRs. And I was like, something about it caught my attention. And I said, what is that? And they said, oh, it's a transmitter receiver. And they were basically talking about channeling. And
Right.
it jogged my memory. And I was like, oh my God, something happened the other day. I had spontaneously gone into an altered state and I'd forgotten about it. But fortunately, I had recorded it. I had a little tape recorder, like the old cassette players, and I
Yes.
had recorded it. And so I said, I think I might be one of these TRs. And they were like, oh, no, that's just for that's just like an out there thing. You couldn't be one of those. I said, no, really, I've got this recording.
Amazing.
So yeah, so I went to the group, I brought it to the group and they were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that was the beginning of my channeling experiences. And I'm going to pause now because I was talking a lot and I'm going to give you the opportunity to respond.
No, no, no. I'm loving this story. But by the same token, I think for our listeners, for those who've heard a few of these interviews, there's definitely a thread that goes through each of these where people who have certain gifts, there's definitely a moment in our childhood where something happens that inside of us makes us go, oh, maybe I'm just a bit strange, maybe I'm just a bit odd, because other kids are not experiencing the same thing. But yet, by the same token, you're definitely set on a definitive path. And you just know that this is something that's going to be important. You don't know how, you don't know why, you just know it is. And that
Mm-hmm.
at the time is certainly enough. But I'm very keen to hear a bit more about your interaction as a channeler and as a someone who's had interaction with spirit guides, because in this regard, I think it's different for different people, like how they come across that and how they realize that that's what's actually happening. So maybe you could elaborate a bit more on what that experience was like for you, at least at the outset.
Absolutely. So it really started to come together for me when I was guided through yet another powerful experience to go to massage school. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I put my hands on people, I felt this incredible energy coming through me, healing energy, and I was able to see and feel what the body was expressing. I could hear their belief systems. I could hear the pain crying out and saying, listen to me, hear me, I need to be loved. And so that became the whole beginning part of my path, was deeply listening from my heart and energy to people's
Mm.
bodies and the psyche very alive in the body. And that's also when the team of spirit medical team came to me, including a psychic surgeon. And I started to at that time, non-verbally, I would often get very
Mm-hmm.
sore throats because I was like, a massage therapist. So I'm not really supposed to talk that much.
Right.
uh, so yeah, but I would hear these things, and occasionally I would feel a little brave enough to say something. But this team was starting to surround me and work through my hands and guide me in how to bring wholeness and the remembrance of universal presence and the template that
Mm.
creates. And so, I also had some of the, more familiar people come, like our spirits come, like Jeshua or Jesus, Mother Mary. I
Mm-hmm.
also have the sound healing team. So they started to collect me. I was going to say I started to collect this team, but really they were like, oh, she's an open channel. Let's work through her. And
Right.
as soon as anyone says yes to that, right, says yes, I'm willing to be
Mm.
an open channel, for infinite loving source only, right? We got to have a little bit of
Right.
discernment also, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, then we can start to prepare ourselves, right? Because we are all here in some form or another, are all unique ways to be expressions of divine loving source and to really bloom in that. So
Absolutely. And again, for our listeners, especially those who are new to spirituality and some of the topics that we are broaching here today, I'm so glad that you are sharing your experience because, and especially the fact that a lot of it was nonverbal communication. And I bring that up because so often I'll speak to people who I suppose we could term normies, people who maybe are not in the spiritual community, and they'll talk about a gut feeling or, I just knew I had to do X, Y, Z. And I have to say to them that that's nonverbal communication. That's something else that's trying to nudge you and direct you in a certain way or path. And more often than not, it is divine love. It is source energy that's coming through, whether that's through a guide or directly. It's there to help us to awaken humanity and really to help with the evolution of the planet. On that note, coming around to some of the topics that I wanted to discuss with you today, your work specifically is around spiritual communities. You have started looking at how to grow these networks. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and what your vision for your life and your purpose is in regards to that.
Beautiful. Thank you. So first, I just wanted to acknowledge the importance of our relationship with our intuitive navigational system. I feel like this is a really important part of what I share with people is to validate that importance of that relationship and that we
Mm-hmm.
don't just flow through the world with our mind, which of course is so important too, but to really listen and develop a relationship with that, all the intuitive aspects. I created a audio course all about intuitive development based in spirituality and source consciousness. And yes, I feel like I was called to not only teach, but then to hold space for other teachers and to start to use this expansive ability to hold space for healing, which I honestly feel like I've been doing for many lifetimes. And
Mm-hmm.
so now in this new phase of our world, which is incredible um, development of spiritual blossoming. To me, it's amazing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I, yeah, I feel guided. In fact, last year I had a new team of angels come to me, and they are the ones that asked me to initiate a healing collective called the Angel Healing Club. And it was funny because I was like, the Angel Healing Club, are you sure about that name? I was like, isn't that kind of like a little floofy or a little like, they're like, no, it's got a certain vibration to it. It's going to provide protection. It's, it's going to hold the energy for what they're wanting to bring through. So I said, all right,
Mm.
let's do it. And so that brings people together online for actually a wide variety of classes, not just about angels, but it calls teachers and healers from all walks of life to come together and share, short classes, healing experiences, very focused that every experience provides some kind of healing so that people can, they don't have to be members, they can drop in for classes as well, but that it provides this opportunity to be really validated that an intuitive spiritual life from many unique perspectives is welcomed, it's accepted, and it's encouraged, right? That you can have other people, because not everyone has a community that says that following your intuition or your heart or listening to spirit guides or even your own guidance is something that is valuable. And I feel like that's such an important part of developing a greater presence of love in the world, is loving ourselves in this way. And the Angel Healing Club is just one of many flowers in a field, right? It's like we are creating
Right.
this beautiful fragrance of, of awareness around our planet. And so I feel so honored to be a part of this evolution at this time, right? That, you know, the Wellness Lifestyle Conference and the Angel Healing Club and whatever each person feels inspired to bring forward, whether it's individually as a coach or a healer or a therapist or, you know, another group, that we are starting to connect with one another. We don't have to do this alone anymore, right? We're actually forming almost like a flower of life, you know, a
Right.
matrix of light around the planet.
Absolutely. And I think you've made such an incredible analogy there of being a flower in a field of flowers. And on top of that, giving people permission to shine their light, essentially. Because like we were saying earlier, so many people just don't even realize that, you know, maybe their intuition is actually on point or that this divine energy is flowing through them. And yet, when more people start to wake up to that, that we can call it the new matrix around the planet just becomes so much tighter and so much more vivid to replace the old so that that energy can be lighter than the more dense reality that we've all become so accustomed to. If I could
Mm-hmm.
ask you though, and not to put you on the spot, so you can tell me, no, Stefan, you can be quiet now. Um, but if you could have absolutely anything for the Angel Healing Club within the next 12 months, what would that be? What would be the sort of big, hairy, audacious goal that you would just love to see coming to fruition?
Hmm. Let's see. I would love to answer that question, and I also have something I'd like to share in this moment because
Hmm.
the Council of Compassion, which is one of the teams that works with me, like just came right up to me, and they're like, "Please acknowledge this."
Right.
So I want to say that how important it is to welcome the shadow aspects of life with
Mm.
compassion and love, that that is the compost for our field of flowers, that everything is welcome. There's nothing we have to be afraid of inside of our human self that isn't welcome into the arms of love. That's such an important organic part of our evolution and growth, is whatever that is, that it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be angry, or, you know, I shouldn't be depressed, or I shouldn't. It's like, no, saying yes to all those things and
Hmm.
recognizing that they're a voice in us, they're a feeling in us that want to be heard and need to be heard, and to express in healthy ways so that they can return home to the heart of love. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that. So let's see, vision for the Angel Healing Club. Let me ask the angels and the healing team what their vision is, because honestly, it's like I can have so many ideas. Like, I love ideas. I have lots of ideas, right? I'm
Right.
like the kid making up the games for everybody to play. Let's do this meditation. Let's do, you know, like, yay, let's do all these fun things, right? But
Right.
really, I want to be serving that greater good. So let me just ask
Mhm.
right now what they would like to um, express as the vision. I see this. Remember how I was describing the flower of life? Well, I see
Mhm.
that with all these people holding hands, and they're turning inward. They're looking inward down towards themselves, and there's a sense of excavation. Is that the right word? Excavating,
Yes.
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 And that the offerings of the Angel Healing Club offer a safe place to excavate the inner territory, and then to take that and to look up. Then I see all the people at different times. It's kind of like syncopated, looking up and looking up towards source, right? That we look from there, our inward source, and then the source around us. That the first relationship is that caretaking of our beautiful humanness, and from the perspective of our wholeness, right? We are this light, we are this beautiful universal love. And then seeing that in each other, I see this network, and we start to see each other that way. right? Releasing competition or less than, or, having to dominate, right? We see that light in each other, and that we acknowledge our co-creation together, and just that honoring. And my vision for the Angel Healing Club is that it can contribute to that, right? To this beautiful vision that they're giving us, and that, whether it's a little part or a big part, I just know that I'm dedicated to bringing universal love through, and that I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the Angel Healing Club, in whatever form it wants to take, to welcome those who feel called to participate and to feel supported in expressing themselves, both as healers and teachers who feel called to that platform to be a part of this evolution together, and those who would like to participate in the group consciousness, right? Honoring that individuality, but also the group consciousness that we're growing together.
That is so, so, so beautiful. And it resonated so deeply with me as well. So thank you for sharing that. I love that visual that you created, because it's so true that it's literally, in terms of evolution and awakening, you want to first look within, bring out anything that you may have suppressed, and then look to source to kind of accept, cleanse, and love all those aspects of yourself. And specifically what you said around shadow work as well, it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and something that I deal with intensely with a lot of my clients, because the last, I suppose we could say millennia, but let's narrow it down to the last 50 years or so. Life has gotten really difficult, and people have hidden parts of themselves. And it's so true that we have to bring those shadows out into the light and accept and love them, so that we can be whole again, so that we can actually start to express universal love to everybody. So I want to thank you, Patti, for the work that you're doing, and really take a moment to acknowledge the incredible service that you are offering to humanity right here. Thank you for that.
Thank you. It's such an honor. It's a gift. It's a gift to me to be of service, and I just take great joy in connecting with you in this moment, and the people listening in the future, and just our whole network of connection that is ever growing. So much gratitude.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, Patti, as we start to wrap this short interview up, and thank you so much again for your time, to our listeners who are new to hearing about you, but who would like to work with you or get involved in the Angel Healing Club, maybe you could just share with us how they can go ahead and reach out to you. Which networks are you most active on? How do people get in touch?
Sure. You can go to angelhealingclub.com. It's got our whole beautiful calendar of events and ways to connect with myself and other teachers and healers. We have the opportunity, if anyone is interested in taking classes or actually being a presenter, we have guest presenters every month. And we also are going to be launching a scholarship program this month, so that every membership includes the Angel Healing Club will be funding someone who, even though it's very inexpensive from US currency, if someone's in another country, or they just have a situation where they're not able to afford the monthly fee or a class, we have a scholarship program that's launching, that'll be available, so that whoever feels called can participate. And I welcome anyone reaching out to me or the club, and just warmly welcome you into the arms of the angels.
Fantastic. And that link will be whichever platform our audience is listening on. You will be able to find the link to that in the description of this video. Just to note as well, Patty is, of course, a speaker on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, and that is going to be this weekend, Saturday, the 19th of June. And we are very excited to host her. As always, the link to the Wellness Lifestyle Conference is in the bio. And Patty, again, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an incredible discussion, and I look forward to hosting you on Saturday as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Stefan. Have a beautiful
Thank,
day.
thank you. Same to you.